any money that is basically that's one of the reasons why it's not that expensive, is that it's a byproduct that is being sold, instead of disposed of in hazardous waste.
I think there's a question in the chat.
Probably. Everyone's going to see it now.
It looks like there's 7 of them.
Let's see. When you look at label, did we already address that from Renee?
Yes.
When you look
Yeah,
at
and I mean, we've addressed this is where things start. It's new.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is one of those things in terms of, the question is long terms, are there any thoughts on phasing up manufacture eventually in Cook County? And can the jobs be transitioned to manufacture of the safer alternatives? Coal tar is actually, first of all, it's a byproduct of the steel industry of converting coal to coke. So as long as we're converting coal to coke, we'll be producing coal tar. But the other thing about coal tar that you have to keep in mind is that coal tar sealants are just one of the things that are made with coal tar. And a lot of the things that we make with coal tar we need. It's distilled into a whole host of chemicals that feed into a number of manufacturing processes. And we don't want to lose those. I don't think that we want to eliminate manufacturing of coal tar because we don't want to eliminate the manufacture of all the other things that come with it. We simply want to stop having this painted on people's driveways and parking lots and contaminating the environment. I am concerned about the job loss here. I'm not insensitive to that. But that's another reason why I think it's a good time to do this now, because in terms of what coal tar is being used for, what processes it's feeding into right now. Not a lot of people are using this as driveway sealant right now, simply because the price of coal tar is, for a while, it was much higher than asphalt sealing or pavement sealers. Now it's probably, even if it fell, it's probably still close to on par. My guess is that the job loss would be minimal with doing this now. And it's also the case that there are other entities that still allow this. And I think that, I don't necessarily want to punish a company for having been located in Cook County in terms of providing a product that is legal elsewhere, whether I agree with it or not. And again, also the same companies that are producing the sealant are producing many other things. So I don't want to target specific companies that are located here because they're doing something elsewhere that I don't agree with. I think I would encourage those municipalities to look at their codes, the needs of their communities, and act accordingly, and same thing with the states. I'll be perfectly honest. I think part of my motivation for this is to try and make Senator Laura Fine's job easier the next time. Because if we've got this ban in place in Cook County, it makes it a little bit easier to do it at the state level. And obviously, as you know, with environmental regulations, it's much more effective if you do it at the state level than if you do it at the municipal level, because whatever town is upstream, if they allow coal tar sealants and it's washing up, it's coming downstream into your community, whether you make it illegal or not. So a broader approach from an environmental perspective is more effective. So. And as far as jobs being transitioned to manufacture other safer alternatives, again, there are a lot of things we can make with coal tar. So, doesn't seem.
looks like you've turned into a night heron again.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
And yeah, I simply, the reality is that it is legal elsewhere, and these companies. Basically all that's going to happen is they're going to pick up and move to DuPage County or someplace else. So, and it will just, I would rather have that company slowly transition to better uses of coal tar and still make that than to lose that industry entirely. And we're not, because it's also, you have to remember that we're also talking about the steel industry, which has already got, a whole lot of strikes against it. So we want to be sensitive to the fact that we do need manufacturing capabilities and jobs in the Chicago area. And this is a way of pushing one to phase it out, but also in a way that still allows these companies to adjust and adapt their strategies to changing environmental regulations.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna just ask Maggie, like, what do you feel like the prospects are for getting this?
I have my fingers crossed. I think right now I'm reasonably confident it will get through committee. Knock on whatever this is. But again, this is something we do have to amend this bill. We've got, and like I said, we delayed the vote on this a couple of months to make sure that we've heard everybody, not just you folks, but the industry representatives as well. And I learned a lot talking about. I had a long conversation with them today, and I did learn some things from them, some of which will result in some changes to this bill, specifically, to make sure that we don't drive those companies out of Cook County by making it impossible for them to sell their products to entities outside of Cook County. So this isn't. I want to get this right, and especially given right now the market conditions and the fact that not a lot of people are using coal tar on their driveways. This is a good time to take a step back and make sure that we do it right and be a model for how to do it in other areas.
Okay.
I had a question. I worked at a lab 30 years ago. Started there and I started doing extraction. Then eventually I was analyzing PAHs in high performance liquid chromatography and mass spec, and so that was like a long time ago. And Cindy had she showed a slide where there was a kid playing on there, very poignant, and the two scientists that died. I was wondering how much discussion was talked about as far as like just regular stormwater runoff, and how what the concentration of pH is in that, and also a volatilization of it too. I mean, I used to have those little NIOSH air tubes and do sampling. I never heard of like doing PAH sampling in the air, but OSHA has limits that are like in the ppb range, and so if they're that low, they've done extensive testing, and it's probably been NIOSH testing. So I just wondered, when you're coming up with this ordinance, how much discussion about the real numbers that are involved in the hazard?
Well, we've actually, I and my staff have been digging up literature on this for months. First with my former chief of staff, and now we actually just today working on this. We are looking at the numbers ourselves, and in part to just make sure that we are moving in the correct direction on this. Just as an sidebar, I'm a former chemist myself, and so I ran and so hearing all the different equipment, it's like, oh yeah, I worked on that once. I worked on that.
I wasn't any good at it. I'm like this.
I know the magnetic resonance imaging lab. Yeah, and I was actually good at it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life.
With all your credit cards outside.
Yeah, it would kill watches. I remember because it would magnetize the watch. But anyways, that's an aside. But yes, no, I think water quality is a very important piece of this puzzle. One of the people that I have on my list to talk to hopefully we can give some supporting testimony to this is some of the commissioners for the MWRD. I think that's an issue that's near and dear to several of them. It's also, I think it was a concern in our discussions in Rolling Meadows, because just northwest suburbs we're basically built on a swamp, and we're surrounded by these, if you put that picture up with all the rainwater with the sludge, that's how we make a lot of land buildable around here, is we build these drainage ditches or swales or retention ponds that then silt up over time. And we have this issue in Rolling Meadows. So in order to make them functional again, we're going to have to dredge them up. And just like with Lake in the Hills, we have the issue of potential contaminants in those. So that's something that's very important to me. And I think that's also an important argument against some of the things that, some of the things that industry will tell us is that, while you put it on there, once you put it on, it stays there. It's like, no, it migrates. And not only does it migrate, but it also creates costs for municipalities to dispose of the sludge that you dredge up. Because at that point, it's hazardous waste again. And unlike with coal tar, we can't recycle it into driveway sealants. We have to do something.
Plus it's costly to do all that testing.
Yes. And I've learned a lot about the testing that is done around Cook County. In general, we actually do a lot of testing, consistently. In the waterways, checking for various pollutants. A good example is about 6 months ago, there was a leak at a gas station in Rolling Meadows. And I found out, which I never knew before, that MWRD regularly tests Salt Creek as it exits 53. This is one of the spots that they do, and they were able to monitor what was going on at the gas station or what wasn't going on. In that case, it wasn't going on, it was reaching Salt Creek. But they do have the system in place that they do it on a basis. It would be great if they did more of it, but it is expensive. But this stuff is in the environment and it is making an impact on some of these numbers. And it's not spread out evenly throughout the environment. It's concentrating itself in certain areas. It's concentrating itself where runoff from paved surfaces collects, which are retention ponds and streams in the area.
Hoffman Estates has a lot of attention.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to say a little bit about what the people in this room and the people on Zoom can actually do to help out here. So, Jim, can you come wake up?
Yeah.
this?
My index.
I was sort of thinking, it's gonna be too complicated to try to use my laptop in any way here. I'm just going to. Okay, so, yeah, we could definitely, kudos to Maggie for taking on this challenge. And we could definitely help out here. So the ordinance is going to be on the Cook County Board agenda on February 28th, right, the very last day of February. And it is going to have a committee hearing right before that, probably on, so that's Thursday the 28th. It'll be before the full board, provided it passes out of committee, and that is probably going to happen the day before, Wednesday the 27th. That meeting will get scheduled approximately a week ahead of time, so it's a little hard to be, but here's what the Sierra Club is doing and how we can help out and what we need help with. We're going to be sending out an action alert to all of our members and supporters in Cook County within the next couple of weeks that's going to say, please sign this online petition to say that you want the Cook County Board to get rid, to enact Maggie's ban, basically. So that'll be one thing. That's gonna be real easy. Notice that you have this email that says action alert, driveway sealant, whatever it says, and then click submit. So that, so watch your email for that. Another thing that we want to do is to have people phoning their county commissioners. It's probably not going to take a huge number of phone calls for the commissioners to think, oh my gosh, my constituents are overwhelming me with asking me to get rid of this toxic driveway sealant. Well, that would actually be fine. If they feel overwhelmed by demand from the constituents, that's okay with me. So we are gonna want to be, so the next thing is you can phone your county commissioner. And for the people in the room, I have brought a map and a list of who the commissioners are and what their phone numbers are. For the people who are online, or the people in the room also, the easiest way to find out who your county commissioner is, if you live in suburban Cook County, you go to the website of the Cook County Clerk, and there's a thing right there on the homepage about your voter info, and you stick in your address, and then they tell you who all of your elected representatives are, including your county commissioner. If you live in the city of Chicago, it's, well, let's see, I mean, the Google search I did was Chicago Board of Elections, and that went to it right away. I mean, I forget, that's not exactly the name of the place, but you know, there's Chicago and Cook County have these two different elections authorities. And so, you know, you want to go to Cook County, the Cook County one if you're in the suburbs, to the city of Chicago one if you're in the city. Find out who your Cook County commissioner is and phone them. And another thing that we can definitely use help with is passing this message along about please phone you, send email or phone your Cook County commissioner to other people. So I am going to be, and I know, you know, the Chicago group and the Northwest Cook County group and the Sauk Calumet group down in the southern end of the county, they are Joliet plus Southern Cook County, you know, that all of us are going to be phoning our members to say, will you phone or email your commissioner? Oh, and also turning up, you can turn up virtually at the committee hearing or at the board hearing. And you can go there in person. If you want to turn up virtually, you need to register at least 24 hours ahead of time, and then they will send you the link for attending virtually. So the timing is a little tight. You know, they schedule it a week before it's going to occur, and you have to sign up at least 24 hours in advance. So, so let's see, what is the, so I guess the easiest way of doing this is for the people in the room, let's just write down, you know, who's interested in helping out at what, and you can come look at the info that I've got. And I've got a map of the county board districts and contact info. For the people who are online, if you're willing to help out in any way, put your email address into the chat and we will get hold of you and, you know, just continue this conversation and nail down a little more exactly, you know, what you can do and how. Okay. Okay, we can stop recording, I think. Oh, it's like, so we should applaud our speakers first.
Yeah.
We could applaud MJ too. Thank you very much for helping out. And we have to more further about programming. So thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. We had a good turnout tonight, and thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Maggie. And like Barbara said, you know, get in contact with your local commissioner, and also like find out, you know, who's using what. You know, is it coal tar or is it asphalt base?
Parker, are you, when you send this alert out, are you going to send?
Can you stop the recording now, Jill?
Sure.
Are you gonna send the instruction? Well, okay, first of all, I didn't write anything down about how to contact my commissioner, but I want to do that. Are you sending an alert out to everybody who's registered, like a Sierra Club?